Working up some new beds. These were the buckets I was going to use for the aquaponics system, but I'm going to put that on hold till the spring. Although I am going to put together a cool demonstration for a little 5-gallon aquaponics system that I can run, cut my teeth on over the winter, get some experience, and then, you know build the bigger system come spring. But anyway, that's not what this video is going to be about. I'm going to talk a little bit about some philosophical things. Why is gardening so important? I know a lot of you already believe in this sort of thing, but it's good to just talk about it. The reasons why we do this stuff is that, you see that? That is soil. That is dirt. That is what they call land. And working the soil and the dirt and the land is a vital part for any country. But we live in a country where so many people they have no connection to the land itself. None. There's no connection. There's just, you get everything from a grocery store. They've never had the luxury of growing anything on their own. And my philosophy is, if you don't really have a connection with the land, then why should you fight for the land? If there's no connection, why should you fight for it, live for it, die for it, go to war for it, and protect the land from invaders, people like that? And one of the fundamental things I think gardening does is give you a connection to the land. It's productive. Even when I'm talking about these little raised beds and these little buckets, the time's really coming along now. We're talking about land. We're talking about a resource that is to be protected and used to help us all. And there's a lot of bad guys in the world, a lot of people who would love to just show up and just take everything you got. And if you don't have a connection to the land, again, why would you fight for the land? Why would you risk your life for it? Why do people go sign up for the Army or the Navy or become firefighters and policemen and things like that? Because essentially, land is a resource that we have that, although massive, is hard to come by. You can't grow more of it per se, and is vital for our families and our communities to live, sustain life. See, as long as food is something that you just buy in a grocery store, it's simply a commodity. But once you begin to grow your own food, even if it's just something simple like growing herbs here on your doorstep, you now have produced something on your own land, on your own property, that is going to provide for you and your family. And once you have that, you begin to have something that's worth fighting for, something that's worth standing up for, something that's worth living for, something that's worth dying for. And ultimately, that's the real reason I believe we garden. The truth be told is, we can just get food. Gardening can be expensive. It can be cheaper. But I think there's something far deeper up and running than just something to eat or just saving money on your grocery bill. And I think the real reason is there's a connection that has been lost because we live in a society where, people are educated by, going into a classroom and downloaded information into their brains, and that's really not how people really learn much of anything. That's certainly a component, just the transfer of information, but I had a college professor friend that once told me that you're really education should change your life, okay? And a lot of people, that's just really not the case. Look at the number of college students that graduate and just move back in with their parents. Their lives haven't changed at all, and they've really not really truly been educated. They may be highly trained, but there's a difference between education and training. And I think something like gardening or fishing or hunting puts you in direct, you interact directly with resources that are capable of sustaining life, food. And once you have that direct connection, I really believe that you have something worth fighting for, worth living for, worth dying for. That's why I really believe that hunting, fishing, gardening, pick 2 out of 3. I think that's a component of a successful country to sustain itself. And anytime you get the people out and away from their direct resources to the land and things, I just don't think it's a good idea. You know. But anyway, a little time of philosophizing. Turnips, when I put all these holes here from the turnips, a few weeks ago that I was showing you how I was separating the seeds. Some of those seeds got in here and they're sprouting up. That'll be fine. Just leave them there. Some of them down there where Mr. Basil is. They'll be alright. I'll probably just thin them out later. You know, a lot of them probably won't survive the winter. That's fine. But anyway, there's a little garden philosophy on just life and Miss Rosemary. Right? What do you think? Why do you think gardening is so incredibly important? You know, what's so valuable about gardening that so many people are really trying to get into it now? There's obviously something. I've given you my 10 pence on it, but you know, I want to hear from you guys. And so just comment down below, you know, and let me know what you think. You know, I may do a blog post on this maybe in the coming weeks or whatnot. All right. I think also too the cycle of the year. You know, we live in a time where it's just everybody just kind of goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. It's just kind of this never stop conveyor belt thing, and that's just not how that's not how the cycle of life works. There's a time and a season for each one of these plants here that we're growing. And there's certain times of the year that they grow well, certain times of the year that they die off. And it's meant to be that way by design. And anytime you start getting away from that, you're really doing more harm than good. Another reason. You know, gardening has a natural annual schedule that you go by. In the winter, that's time for sharing stories. I was reading an interesting book by Oliver DeMille, who started George Wythe College. Now, for those of you who don't know, George Wythe was the guy who basically mentored Thomas Jefferson. You know, he was George Wythe was also a signer of the Declaration of Independence. But thing is that you know, in the winter time is a time for studying, a time for gaining more knowledge, a time for talking, sharing old stories, singing old songs, things like that. And so the winter time is mostly for learning. That's why the school year happens in the winter. There's a reason for it. Springtime is a time for action. Summertime is good for doing projects. Autumn is time to kind of prep and harvest and get ready for the cold winter again, whereby you start the cycle all over again by more learning. And then the spring comes another season of fresh starts, and another summer of various projects, and another autumn of, you know, harvesting year after year, just the same cycle. And it works. And I think that's another reason why gardening is important. It automatically sort of lays out your year. You automatically have your year planned, and you can just sort of plan your whole year around what's going on in your garden. You learn how to slow down your life and live at a pace that's at the pace that the planet itself moves. And that's something we really got to do, because as long as we're just moving like chickens with our heads cut off and wings clipped, you can just flapping all day and you're not really ever taking flight. But I think slowing down, observing, watching, learning, testing, experimenting, it's a natural cycle of life that is vital for just learning, especially in times that are as tumultuous as ours and then whatnot. And so, anyway, I've been thinking about these sorts of things here of late, and just wanted to share some of those with you. And I would really love to get your ideas. So just, comment down below or do a video reply if you have the time. And I'd appreciate it. I will talk to you guys later.